Hey, what is up, you guys? Coming to you from Mixology 101 here at the Grove, and I'm so excited to be joined by Monica the Medium.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm a big fan of the show.
Oh, thank
Monica
you.
the Medium. And you guys are in your second season now. Is it crazy to you still?
It is a little bit crazy. No, it's a lot crazy. I always knew growing up that I would do something that would reach a lot of people. I didn't necessarily know it would be talking to dead people, but I always had this feeling that whatever it is I would be doing in my life, that it would be helping people and it would be reaching a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I wasn't shocked, but it was definitely kind of crazy.
I mean, how did you first find out that this is your talent? This is what you're supposed to do?
For me, I was intuitive and empathic growing up, but it really wasn't until high school that I started to feel, hear, and sense and see dead people. And starting with some friends and acquaintances that I would sense things around, to then later on strangers, I was like, okay, this is happening, and it was happening fast to the point where I was like, okay, I have to accept this, and then I kind of just went with it and been doing it ever since.
And how do you wrap your head around that, you know? I love how you say it so casually.
No.
My name is Monica, and I talk to dead people.
And I talk to dead people, and this is what I do. Yeah. Well, now I'm just so used to it, but there are even still times that I have a moment where I sit back and I'm like, oh my God, it is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and it's very hard to wrap your mind around sometimes. It's one of those things that when I first started doing this work, I thought maybe I have a brain tumor, maybe I'm sick. I thought something was wrong with me. Now I realize, okay, instead of thinking something's wrong with me, embrace that there's something unique about myself that I can use to share and help people and bring them healing, and that's pretty amazing.
It's so good, and I love it. I mean, you watch your show, and it's so cool that you're helping people, and people can relate to it because everyone's lost loved ones, you know? For
absolutely.
you, what's the best thing about being a medium, and then maybe the worst thing?
Honestly, is just delivering the healing messages, and my favorite part is at the end, just not just seeing a transformation within the people that I give readings to, but I can physically, emotionally, I feel just how much it's helped them. I can feel their energy so much lighter and brighter. I know that it's brought them so much healing, and that's an incredible feeling.
Well, and I watch it too, and you are so invested. You know, you're crying along with them.
Yeah.
It's got to be emotionally exhausting.
It is definitely draining sometimes,
Yeah.
but in a good way. So it's kind of like when you run a marathon and you've gone running, and at the end of it, it's an exhilaration, but an exhaustion at the same time. It's that kind of feeling, but it's worth it.
And at this point, you have learned to sort of turn it on and turn it off.
I've gotten so much better. So I absolutely have learned to have a lot more control with spirit, and they have to respect me more, my boundaries. And people are saying, well, when I watch your show, though, you're doing it 24/7 all the time, so they think that everywhere I go, I'm giving readings. But I'm like,
it's a show.
But no, the thing is, this show's about me and my life as a medium.
Yeah.
And since we film, just my everyday life, 12-hour days a lot of the times, there are times I get lunch where they might not show it in the episode because I might have not given a reading, but people want to see the reading, so that's what you see. But yeah, I've gotten better.
So when you walk into a room like this, I mean, are you kind of bombarded with spirit, or does it take a minute, or how? Just trying to get people to understand it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's such a fascinating thing.
No, well, I'm not walking down the street being dead mom, dead brother, dead sister. There is somebody's mom that's here, when I walked in. When I say that I've gotten better about turning on and off the lights, I'll sometimes sense an energy, but I'll kind of just be all right, I acknowledge that you're around, but I'm not going to spend more of my energy to figure out who it's for and then go and give the message if it's just not the right time or if I need a break. So I felt a mom when I walked in here, but I'm okay, and then continued on.
Well, I think about it when you're if you're in class, taking a test.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be so distracting. Or do you?
Yeah. I'm if you can't help me and give me the answers to this test, then bye, okay? Leave me alone.
Well, I've heard you say that there's certain people that you're drawn to. You feel like they need a certain message.
Yes.
How do you decipher that?
I hate to say you have to pick and choose, because everybody's loss is significant. Everyone has somebody that they would love to hear a message from and would love to have that experience in them coming through, but it's one of those things for me to stay sane and have my own life, and I have to kind of know when, okay, this person, it's a woman who's lost her child, it's a mom who, and then kind of go from there, but it is hard.
Just curious for you, and I know it's different for every medium, what do you see, do you feel? Is it?
I use all the different clairs, so the clairs are the senses for communicating to spirit. So I am clairaudient, so I hear spirit. I'm clairvoyant, so I see spirit. Clairsentient, you feel spirit. So I hear, see, feel, sense, and then sometimes I'll just know things. I don't even know where it came from. It just comes out of my mouth.
That's so crazy.
And that's kind of wild. It's like, whoa, someone literally took over my body right then and there because I don't know what it just came out of my mouth kind of thing.
You know, a lot of people will argue that it's maybe not a positive thing, but I've heard you say that you're very adamant about being something that's very positive and from
not
heaven,
not even connecting to any ghost negative, like sketchy energy, that kind of thing. Yeah.
How do you know that it's positive?
So I think because I'm so good about blocking out anything negative, like nothing that I'm even channeling would not be positive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if I feel the slightest bit of, I don't like that vibe or I don't like that energy, then I would choose not to connect.
Gotcha.
As simple as that.
And do your loved ones come to you, is what I'm curious about.
Yeah, I can't communicate with my own loved ones the same way that
Interesting.
I can with everybody else's. I'm just too close to them. So, you know, it would be hard to interpret what's coming through based on what I already know or based on what I would love to hear from my own loved ones. So I do connect to them. I get they come through in dreams. I get butterflies and rainbows, all those kind of things. But yeah, not the same way with everybody else.
Yeah. Well, I love you are just such a normal 22-year-old living your life.
Everybody else.
How is it possible to have a social life and date? How do you kind of navigate that? Because you're going through it right now, obviously.
I don't know how I do it. I think you have to learn how to not sleep, really. I'm like running on 3 hours of sleep the last 3 nights in a row, so I'm like kind of half asleep right now. But that's the only way I've learned how to, it's like, there's not enough hours in the day. But you just have to learn to make yourself a priority and make the being 22, being young and having fun part of your life just as important as everything else. Because that if anybody knows, you know, I know that life is short. You don't want to have those regrets when you look back on all those years being like, all I ever did was work. Like, I love what I do. I love helping people, but I also want to have that fulfillment in my own life with friends and family and dating and all that.
And we went on a date in this season, and it was. I loved hearing you talk to your friends and be like, well, what do I do? What if I give them a reading? And I was like, oh my God, it just reminds me of my friend, me and my friends, but it's just such a different conversation.
It's just a very different conversation.
So how do you sort of navigate that?
Yeah, the whole dating as a medium, as you've seen, is kind of interesting. Nowadays, it's working out a little better. You'll see that guy that I went on a date with, Tyler, more throughout the rest of the season 2.
He seems like a keeper, I'm just saying.
He's a great guy. I don't want to give any spoilers, but I'll just say I'm very happy. And so, yeah, sometimes it does work out. They said, don't give him a reading on the first date. He'll never want to be with you. And I'm like, oh.
You're like, I want him at first reading.
I wanted to. I couldn't help it. I just couldn't.
And for you, I'm just curious, do you have a reading that stands out, that's something that really touched you, or a moment,
That's such a hard question.
Yeah.
Ever, or like this season?
Let's say ever. One that just really stands out to you.
That is such a hard question. I would say one that really stands out to me is one that I actually did not long ago when I was in the grocery store in my neighborhood, and I stopped and gave a reading to this woman who lost like her 4-year-old daughter who was run over by her husband. It was a very sad story. Like, she was like just riding her bike playing and it was a freak accident, and she came through and it was so strong. It was just such an incredible, like, emotional, amazing reading that that really hit home for me.
Are you able to, I feel like the hardest thing would be kind of not forgetting about it, but walking away and not necessarily thinking about it or letting it take over your life. Are you able to do that?
Yeah, well, when I first started doing this work, because I'm very empathic, which means I feel the emotions of others, I had a lot harder of a time where I would give somebody or a reading, or I'd give a group reading, and when I would leave or I'd be driving home, it'd be hard for me to shake off those emotions, and I would be feeling depressed, or I'd be sad, or I would like be crying later that night. I'm like, why am I sad? It's because I didn't at the time know that I had to be better about cleansing my own energy after every reading, releasing all the information, all the emotions that came through, so that like I can have a clear mind and not let it kind of stick with me, you know? So now I'm just better about kind of doing a meditation, cleansing myself, grounding myself after every reading. And so now really I forget most of what comes through by the next day. Like, I don't really remember most readings.
And when is like your show, because you're kind of in, public situations and you're going up to people as you feel it. Is that really how you would say your daily life is?
Yeah, like I said, with the show, there are many times where I can go to the mall or go to a lunch or whatnot where I keep my lights off and I don't give a reading, and you just might not see those occasions, but there's still many occasions in my everyday life off camera too that I give spontaneous readings. I do it a lot of times to Uber drivers because I was
that's amazing.
Yeah, because I was relying on Uber. Well, I didn't have a car, and so I did that a lot. Like, I do it all the time still. So
with Uber drivers, like what? Just like what? Can you imagine that story they tell their friends and family?
I've had Uber drivers years later like tweet me like, Monica, I remember the reading you gave me. I flipped through the channels and saw your show. Like, it's pretty awesome.
I love that. We all have haters, and you have dealt with, just people, not non-believers. What do you say to the non-believers? How do you deal with that, and what do you say to them?
I mean, I'm the first one to say that, like, it's healthy to be a skeptic. Like, you should be skeptical about things, in your general everyday life. That's a good thing. But there's a difference between being a skeptic and being like a full-on hater. And I always say, like, look, if you might not understand or believe in what I do, that's fine. That's your own belief system. But you can't, don't come at me with these, these hateful words and these comments where a lot of times these people are coming from a place of fear. And they say these hateful things because they're afraid of the fact that this could be real and that there is life after death. It's like they don't want to believe in that side of things, and they're just afraid of it all. And I just try not to let it get to me and let them feel what they want to feel and just continue doing what I do and helping people.
Well, even like believers that aren't connected with, heaven and believing that heaven is real, like what do you say to them, or do you? Or
I mean, I've had a lot of people who watch the show. I've had comments or tweets and messages. Monica, I was an atheist before I watched the show, and now I don't know what to believe, or now I completely believe in an afterlife. I'm like, it's kind of crazy to think that at 22 that I could have the ability to change people's whole viewpoints on that. But like I said, I don't try to push my own belief. I just try to open people's eyes to what it is that I do, and that mediumship is not this creepy, weird, sketchy thing. Like, it's an amazing gift, and it's a beautiful thing.
That's my favorite thing on your show, when people are like, I'm skeptical of this, and then you change their minds, and they're crying. And you're like,
full transformation.
A little bit. That's gotta feel pretty good.
I mean, I never do that, but it does. It's never like I told you so, but it's more of like, I'm happy that if I could allow them to really have an experience that can open their eyes to what this is, and that it is real and it is genuine, and so. Talk
about a responsibility in life, delivering deceased members messages to their loved ones. Does that ever overwhelm you?
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's even more so than just the responsibility day to day and the readings themselves. It's also having a lot of responsibility with the work kind of goes hand in hand with feeling guilty sometimes, where I can't reach every last person that asks for a reading or that stops and says, oh, I love your show. Like, can you give me a quick message? Like, I wish I could give it to every single person individually, and I almost feel like a responsibility to do so then I kind of feel guilty. But I realize now that I'm reaching as many people as I can with the platform I've been given with the show, and that's amazing because it's way more people than I would be able to ever reach one-on-one,
And do you get recognized pretty often?
I do get recognized occasionally, but really, it's so funny. I always say, I kind of laugh to myself, because I know so many people would love to run into me and have that opportunity, but I'm sitting out and hundreds of people no one ever recognized me. I'm like, all these people missing, they're missing out. If they did, I might be in the mood to give you a message, but nobody. It's very rare.
That's interesting.
Except when I'm in Pennsylvania, then it's insane.
Oh yeah,
small town.
And for you, what else do you want to accomplish with your talents?
I'm actually already in the process of writing my first book, so hopefully that'll be out by the fall. It's my goal.
Do you know what the title is yet?
I'm still toying with it. I really can't speak to that yet. But it is, it's very new in the beginning process of that. But I also want to just do more events. I like doing the events because you can reach a lot of people live in person. Not everybody gets a reading, but they're like, okay, I loved your show, but I was still a little bit skeptical because you're like, okay, TV editing, what is this real? But then seeing you live, it's like, wow, Monica, it brings them that much more validation and healing. So I love doing these live events, and I have a couple big ones coming up, so that'll be fun.
And you guys tune in to Monica the Medium. It's the best show, and it'll probably make you cry in a good way.
Yeah, have lots of tissues.
Yeah. See you guys. Bye.